So hello, welcome to today's webinar. My name's Lisa Dargan and I'm joined by one of your senior consultants, Chris Hayes. Hey Chris.
Morning everybody.
So today's subject is beyond ISO 27001, DORA and NIS 2. I will try really hard to say NIS and not NIST because I know people do get confused between the two. Today's webinar is quite interesting in that we were approached by DMV, who are one of our certification body partners, to say that they think it'd be really useful, particularly for a number of their clients, to understand what goes beyond 27001, what DORA and NIS 2 are, and how they relate to 27001. So welcome particularly to DMV clients as well. What we're going to do today, here's a very rough agenda. If you do have any questions, then please put them in. There's a chat box. Please raise your questions. We'll try and answer them as we go along, but any questions we don't get the chance to answer either during the webinar or at the end, we will contact you afterwards with answers to those. So we're going to look at what is DORA, what are the requirements, what's governance around that and how that's enforced, and then do exactly the same for NIS 2. We're going to look at the similarities and differences between them, and then we're really going to look at how having ISO 27001 enables you to integrate those, where there's overlap, where there's areas you need to work on. And to finish off, we're going to focus specifically on the implications for UK organisations and future developments, because it's quite a fast-changing landscape and there's a lot going on at the moment. So that's what we're going to cover today. For those of you that aren't familiar with URM, I will just give you a very brief overview. So URM's been established for over 20 years. We're part of Cooper Parry, so we're a wide-ranging professional services organisation. From a URM perspective, we combine your traditional GRC, governance, risk and compliance. So within that, 27001, NIS 2, DORA, PCI, GDPR, all of those areas, alongside a cyber practice around penetration testing, cyber essentials, and bring the two of those together to give you an overarching solution, which is particularly relevant to today with some of the DORA NIS 2 requirements. We have a passionate team of individuals who've sat where you are today, probably internally thinking, how do I implement them? Is it relevant to me? And also as consultants, of which Chris is one. Chris has, I won't try to age you, Chris, here we go. Over 15 years information security experience, and around that 30 years of IT experience, which I think is becoming more relevant, Chris, with some of the more technical requirements that are coming out. Chris has got, as well as DORA and NIS 2, which he's been involved with, his background includes SOC 2, 27001 and PCI. Holds the great titles of CISA, CISM, and is a QSA. Yep. So brings a lot of experience to this. So thank you, Chris, for joining us. We appreciate you being here today. So if we go back to basics, I guess, and we'll start with DORA, and then we'll go on to NIS 2. So if we start real back to basics, what is DORA?
Yeah, so essentially DORA is the Digital Operational Resilience Act. It's an EU act. It's a sector-specific act, so it relates to the financial sector and obviously financial institutions. And the sort of background to it is that traditionally financial institutions have been good at managing essentially their commercial resilience, or at least about the perception that they've been good at managing their commercial resilience. So for things like ensuring that they've got appropriate liquidity, ensuring that they spread the risk of their financial holdings. What the EU has recognised is that perhaps they haven't been quite as diligent, or at least as structured in their management of digital operational resilience.
And I guess, was it yesterday or Monday, and whichever day this week, probably the Amazon or AWS outage, down, whatever we want to term it, it's probably a really good example of this, and couldn't have been more timely for us today.
Yeah, it's a brilliant example. And funny enough, when it happened, I was thinking this is really, perhaps not for Lloyd's customers and Snapchat customers, but I was thinking for the purposes of the webinar, quite good timing. It's a classic, one of the classic concerns within the EU is that for its financial sector, there is a level of risk associated with not just the financial institutions and their digital resilience, but also the resilience down the supply chain. And again, this essentially is what DORA is looking at. It's not just looking at, it's centered on the digital resilience of the financial institutions, but built into that is the fact that there's a focus on the resilience of the supply chain as well. And obviously the EU is particularly concerned around the fact that fundamentally there's like two scenarios. A single financial institution could suffer a breach, and then that breach spread across the financial sector, or a critical service provider could suffer a breach, and that caused a huge issue across the financial sector. So it's not just concerned in the issues of individual financial institutions, it's also on the impact across the whole financial sector, be that within a particular EU state or indeed across the whole EU.